It. People of color, American citizens who are brown, who are yellow, who are black, et cetera, stand up.
To destroy our country
well, the gentleman
related to chairs. I will not yield to you on this subject, period.
Well,
it's offensive if you can't tell. Silence, the time is mine.
Maxine Waters thought she was putting ICE on trial. Instead, the hearing exploded into one of the most heated immigration clashes Congress has seen in years. The moment Waters started comparing ICE actions to terrorism and warning about civil conflict, Congressman Warren Davidson fired back with a response that completely changed the tone of the room. What happened next exposed just how deep the divide over immigration has become in America.
ICE agents descend on our cities using brutal force to hunt, harass, and harm those in our communities. Whether intended or not, U.S. citizens and their businesses and property, shop holders and small business owners who are American citizens are caught in the middle of the reckless and inappropriate responses of ill-trained ICE agents, only to be left with broken windows and damaged storefronts to repair. Who pays for this? Workers and families, also U.S. citizens, drive home at the end of the day only to be snatched out of their cars by masked men with tactical gear and wind up with their windows smashed in. Who pays for this? This Sunday in St. Paul, Minnesota, over a dozen ICE agents broke down the front door of a napping U.S. citizen. They forced and trampled their way into his home, pointing their guns and yelling at his family, while this 4-year-old grandson cried. Republicans on the opposite side of the aisle, you can do better than this. You can stand up for Ms. Good, who was killed, the mother of 3, an American citizen, other American citizens, people who look like they think should be deported, people of color, American citizens who are brown, who are yellow, who are black, et cetera, stand up for the citizens of this country. Otherwise, you're going to see a civil war that is being created between ICE and the National Guard.
Jesus said we can be angry and not sin, so I'm going to give it my best shot right here. The amount of red herrings and false stuff that's being spewed for the premises behind this amendment is offensive. To tell the American people and us in this room that ICE is a terrorist organization and therefore TRIA should cover the losses? Are you freaking kidding me? If you look at the proximate cause, you talk about the laws not being followed. The previous administration fueled an invasion of our country by failing to secure our borders, by ignoring our laws, and now we have sanctuary cities who invited these people in, who served as accomplices to the crime, continuing to obstruct justice. The reality is Alejandro Mayorkas and all of his accomplices should be on trial today. And if we don't put them in jail for a really long time after due process and a trial, some future administration is going to think they can fuel an invasion, only we need to do more of it faster. Now you get mad because ICE is enforcing the laws that the previous administration failed to enforce and want the government to cover for your game. The invasion you're fueling of our country, it's treason. It's treason. And it's a complete waste of this committee's time to even bring it up, to try to grandstand over your fake agenda to destroy our country related to chairs. I will not yield to you on this subject, period.
Well,
it's offensive if you can't tell. Silence, the time is mine.
The time belongs to the judge. The order. Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, the time belongs to the gentleman from Ohio.
TRIA is a program that I support. Every contract I've entered into has a force majeure clause. And there are acts that are unanticipated, that are hard to insure the risk for. I don't think the program's perfectly designed. I wish I was here for the debate. Mr. Rose presented his amendment. I don't think I agree with the points. But I do think, hey, we probably don't have a perfect terrorism risk insurance program. But I applaud Mr. Flood, Mr. Cleaver for working together on a reauthorization. That's what we should be focused on today. The idea that we would defund ICE is probably about as dumb as defunding the police. But Minneapolis wanted to do both. And so, yes, I hope those people are held accountable. But the Financial Services Committee is not the committee of jurisdiction for that. So if you want to do that, go to one of the other committees, do your grandstanding somewhere else, and quit wasting our time in this committee. I yield back.
If you want to understand why immigration remains one of the most explosive issues in American politics, look no further than this hearing. What started as criticism of ICE quickly turned into a full-scale ideological battle over law enforcement, border security, and the rule of law itself. Maxine Waters came out swinging. She described ICE operations as reckless, harmful, and dangerous. She highlighted incidents involving property damage, mistaken raids, and American citizens caught up in enforcement actions. Then she took the argument even further. By raising terrorism-related concerns and warning about growing tensions between federal authorities and local communities, Waters wasn't simply criticizing policy anymore. She was questioning the legitimacy of the enforcement effort itself. And that's when everything changed. Because Warren Davidson wasn't willing to let that argument stand unanswered. The Ohio congressman immediately rejected the entire premise, not just as wrong, as offensive. And that distinction mattered. Davidson's position was clear. ICE agents are enforcing laws passed by Congress, not acting as some rogue organization operating outside the law. From his perspective, the real issue isn't enforcement. The real issue is years of failed border policy and weak immigration enforcement that allowed the situation to spiral out of control in the first place. That's why he redirected the conversation toward the Biden administration's border policies and former DHS leadership. His argument was simple. Don't blame the agents carrying out the law. Blame the politicians who created the conditions that made aggressive enforcement necessary. Then came the line that got everyone's attention. Davidson compared efforts to defund ICE to the movement to defund the police. For conservatives, that's a powerful argument, because many Americans watched cities experiment with anti-police policies and believed the results were disastrous. Davidson was essentially arguing that attacking law enforcement institutions doesn't solve problems, it makes them worse. And that's where the deeper conflict emerged. This debate isn't really about one raid, one agency, or one hearing. It's about two completely different visions of America. One side sees federal immigration enforcement as increasingly abusive and believes stronger restrictions are needed. The other side sees ICE as carrying out a necessary function that any sovereign nation must perform, enforcing its borders and immigration laws. Those positions are becoming harder